Hey guys, Gathering the Magic back again, and this is time for the Splinterlands Market Watch number 4. This is for February 10th, 2024, so it's been about 2 weeks since our last Market Watch, and just going to go over token movement and pack and card prices. So let's start with SPS. So SPS 2 weeks ago, so I should say 2 weeks, not last week, but the last time we checked, SPS was at about 2.26 cents, and we've moved up to 2.35, so a little bit upward movement there. Vouchers, after the whole Battle Wagon, Mage Wagon purchases that pushed vouchers just to right around 4 cents. We've seen vouchers drift lower to about 3.2. This is kind of what I expected. After people have all their vouchers for their wagons, that the price would start to drift a little bit lower. So this is not really surprising at all. If we look at the total amount of vouchers in circulation, 2 weeks ago we had about 11.1, almost 11.2 million vouchers. Now we're at 11.7. So we've gained, over 500,000 vouchers. But the thing is, we issue 40,000 a day. And one of the things that I was always curious about is, okay, we're issuing 40,000 a day. How many are we actually burning per day? So going by the last 2 weeks, it's gone up 562,000, which means it's gone up about 37,500 a day. That means that we're burning about 2,500 vouchers a day. So with basically not a lot of current utility for vouchers, now that people have their mage wagons for the most part, and vouchers aren't being used for that, there is 2,500 vouchers every day that are being burnt, in various places in the game without really a whole lot of demand. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So as we start getting some real major voucher uses in game, if we get a voucher store, if vouchers are eventually used in land to pay for fees or transportation costs, promo cards, all that, that's really going to eat into this surplus supply. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that we are burning about 2,500 vouchers a day currently in game. Speaking about burning, so if we looked at SPS burnt, the last time that we checked, we had 46.7 million vouchers SPS that has been burnt. We're now up to 48.6, so we've burned just shy of 2 million SPS in the last 2 weeks. So it looks like we're burning about 1 million SPS a week. So it comes out to be just shy of 130,000 SPS a day that is being burnt currently in Splinterlands. Taking a look at pack prices, not really a whole lot of big movement. The one thing I noticed was alpha packs. A couple weeks ago, one sold for $71, the cheapest. Just had one that sold for under 47. So to me, this can be kind of misleading because this makes it look like alpha packs are really cratering. What it was someone had a really low offer, a really low bid, and there was one person that decided to sell at that price. So currently, I think the cheapest alpha pack that's for sale is in the $70 range. But if you look at the other prices for some of the older sets, they're pretty much the same as they were the previous 2 weeks. Not really a lot of movement. Chaos Legion is still hovering around that 85-cent mark per pack, so still a great buy. Great time to pick up summoners, for the new ranked battle system that I will have a video out shortly on that. Rebellion and Rift Watchers are pretty much holding for the last 2 weeks. Not a lot of movement there. Rift Watchers, you guys know I love that set. I don't think prices are going to stay under $4 for Rift Watchers too long, but of course there's just so much else going on that there's not a lot of focus on Rift Watchers as of yet. When the new rank system comes out, that may change. Rebellion, same thing. Rebellion is holding very strong. Actually had a little bit of an uptick in price from 2 weeks ago. People are buying packs, opening packs, and then staking those on their wagons. The gold foil prices, especially the epics and the legendaries, are very strong, and we'll get into that. But not a whole lot of movement, but like some of the sets that are more recent are definitely holding their value. They're not tanking in value. They're not cratering like Chaos Legion did. So looks like Rift Watchers and Rebellion are going to be very strong sets. And very strong pack prices going forward. So like I said, not a whole lot of movement, pretty much steady, but it's nice to see that the newer sets are really holding their own. Okay, so speaking of sets, let's start at Alpha. So a couple weeks ago, Alpha Commons 60 cents to $2. They're pretty much still in that range. One of the cards did move up on the high end. So if we look at Commons, and let's just look at regular. So the Crustacean King is $3.35. Other than that, it looks like you can pick up an Alpha Common for 57 cents to $2.25. So I still need to, of course, there's so much I want to get in Splinterlands. I really want to work on getting an alpha set going. And especially since a lot of the cards, you don't need that many of them to level up to get them to a decent level. Like Max Silver, instead of getting 60 copies of a card, you only need 19. And even some of the commons, you need a little bit less than you do currently. They're just so attractive. And I mean, just being the first set ever printed, these are definitely cards that I want to get. Okay, so let's also look at the rares. So the rare price is pretty much the same, right around $2 to 16. Epics holding $8 to about 15. Your legendary cards, your cheapest legendary and alpha is going to cost you about $50. Let's look at the legendary cards. And another thing too, look at the low liquidity on these. All of these are under 10. As soon as this will load the new graphics so you can see. So yeah, so you can see here, you've got under 10 copies of all the legendaries. Now these aren't even gold foil. These are just regular alpha legendary cards. You can see the low liquidity on these. So I'm actually thinking about maybe starting to grab some of these at $50. $50 is a lot of money, but when you see the low liquidity, the low print numbers, and where I think these cards are going in the future, just me personally, I want to get these cards before they hit, $100 plus, just for some of the lower end legendaries and alpha. Okay, so for your promo cards, so there are one of each promo card for alpha. So let's go to alpha, let's look at promo. So as you can see, the common is just under $16. The rare, same price, 16, and the legendary is just under 500. There is no epic promo card. There was one 2 weeks ago for $100. That one either sold or was taken down because that is no longer for sale. And then if we check out the gold foils, which is always fun to do, let's look at the gold foil commons for alpha. So as you can see, the cheapest, you're looking at $30 for the Goblin Sorcerer, up to $229 for the Animated Corpse. For your rares, once again, look at how many of these are 1 or 2 copies. For the rares, $90 up to, and this was up 2 weeks ago, it still is there, Tyrus for $1,000. Epics and legendaries, there was none. There is now an epic for sale. There's one epic Dark Enchantress for sale for $639 and no legendaries. So once again, the liquidity on alpha cards, on the gold cards, is just extremely low. There's still a decent amount of commons. If you're looking to get commons, rares, you start getting in the teens and 20s for the most part. And then, of course, as you get higher up in the rarities, you're down in the teens or single digits for the epics, and then the legendaries are very few and far between. So, I just love the alphas. I love the set, just being the first set ever printed. I have nothing but good things to say about alpha and value long term, and even the playability, on land, getting that 10 times bonus and all that. So I'm just surprised these cards are as cheap as they are, but it is what it is. Okay, so now let's go on to beta. Oh, did I go through the gold promos? Yes, I did. Okay, so let's go to the beta cards. So your beta cards pretty much didn't see a whole lot of movement in the last 2 weeks. Your commons are still in the same range. The high-end rare came down a little bit from $14.80 to $9. Your epics are pretty much the same price. Let's look at the legendaries just so we can kind of get an idea of the liquidity for legendary cards. So as you can see, there's a decent amount of legendaries for beta. Just look at regular foil for now. So, you know, you've got some cards here in the 30 and 40s, and actually 79 even for Spirit Miner. So there are a decent amount of cards out there for beta legendaries until you start getting into the summoners. So once you get to the summoners, you can see you're basically at 10 or less for most of them, except for Peak Rider, you're at 15. So with the new rank reward system coming out, I wonder if even some of these are going to start disappearing, and some of these are going to get combined, because now there's going to be a real incentive to have max level cards going forward. But as you can see, a lot of these beta cards are still very affordable. You know, there's some great cards here: Kraken for under 13, Lord Arianis for under 15. You know, so some very good cards. Lord of Darkness under 20. So there are some deals to be made based on where these cards were previously in price. Even Valnamore, you know, at 150, this card was what, more than twice that. So even though the market is on an uptick, you would expect these cards to go up more, and maybe they will in the not too distant future. There are some, you know, very good, very high value cards that I think are there at a good price. Okay, let's take a look at golds. So your cheapest gold common, funny, this is the card that I have on my $10 account, Creeping Ooze, a little over $4. And you're going all the way up to just over 25 for the Saber Shark. Once again, if you look at the numbers and the liquidity, a lot of these are in the teens or under 10 copies. So as you can see, gold foils are drying up. A lot of people have been placing them on land. Take a look at the gold foil rares. Now you're up to the $24, $25 range for the cheapest, up to 95 for Cyclops. Kind of an outlier, I think. I think really Ulrich should probably be priced higher than a Cyclops. So if you look at Ulrich, you're looking at about $90 for a high-end beta rare. Gold foil. Looking at your epics. We got 79 for the Screaming Banshee, all the way up to 1,000 for a single copy of Daria Dragon Scale. Also, as you notice, look at these top 4 cards, all single copies, where you can pretty much put in whatever price you want. So many of these high-end cards, and these are epics. These aren't legendaries. You've got, you know, 1, 2, 3 copies of a lot of these. So the market is very, very thin on the amount of older gold foils that are for sale. And then looking at legendaries, of course, single copies of just about everyone, except for Selena Sky, there are 2 copies. So the liquidity on these are just so low, guys. I can't overstate it, you know. And you look at the prices and you think, oh, these prices are just outrageous. Yeah, you haven't seen nothing yet. Wait a few years. Okay, so that's it for beta. So as you can see here, these are the prices, not a lot of movement. For the gold foil legendaries, you can see pretty much the floor price. You're looking at $750 to $800. Someone listed 2 weeks ago a Kraken for $42,000. It's not on the market. They probably just took it down and put it on land. And then for the promo cards, let's take a look at that, because I don't know if I looked at the promos. Let's look at gold. Let's look at the promo cards. So you can see Delwyn Dragon Scale, which I think is a great summoner to pick up, especially for the new rank system. Because just the regular foil, I believe, is 25 cents for a dragon summoner. Yes, it's a common. Yes, you're going to need a ton of them. But at 25 cents a piece, you know, $100. Oh wait, 25 cents a piece, you need 500. Okay, so a little over, what, 125 will get you a max copy of a dragon summoner with plus magic. How many are for sale? What is the BCX? So yeah, so people are asking right around $140 for a max copy. And then for the rare, you're looking at 70 cents. Fiendish Harpy, $4.21 for the epic, and then legendary, 29. Prince Julian and Archmage Arius, you can see the prices here. 4,000 for Prince Julian, 12,000 for a gold foil. No gold foil Archmage Arius, and as you can see, only 2 copies of these and only 1 copy of the gold foil. So just super, super rare cards. Okay, let's get into Untamed. Untamed, for the lower end cards, pretty much the same for the regular foils. Not a whole lot of movement in price. You know, commons 3 cents to 40, rares 11 cents to about $1.15. Your epics, went down a little bit from 50 cents to 43, and the high end for the epics 385 to 325. Now the ones that I like looking at are, of course, the legendary cards. And was there a lot of movement? There was actually a little bit of surprising movement, I thought, in the legendaries. Just for a couple of the high end cards like Kitty. Kitty was under $100 and moved back up to 110. So I thought that was interesting. Kitty kind of maybe overshot her price low, and now it's kind of stabilized a little bit at $110. Llama actually went up a little bit. He was, 69. Now he went to 79. Yoden fell a little bit from about 75 to 66. And then Kron fell from 25 down to 21. Looking at the promo cards, Halfling Alchemist went up a little bit from 650 to 7. Chain Golem went from 15 to 20. The Mighty Dricken, there was none for sale. Now there's one for 950. For your gold foils, your commons are pretty much the same. $1 is about a floor for a gold foil common, up to around $5. Your gold foil rares, you're looking at 4 to just under 15. Your epics, gold foil epics for, $20 isn't bad for Untamed, up to 34. And then looking at the gold foil legendaries, your cheapest, you're looking at 129, and then kind of the key cards that everyone wonders about. Kitty for 1,400, a Yoden for just under 1,000. A couple of these, Darkhan and Almo, 22. Like I said, because they're the only copies up, they can basically list them for whatever they want. Kron for 800, Llama for just under 700. So some of these key cards are still holding very, very strong. And once again, look at the low liquidity on all of these. These are all like under 10, actually all under 7 copies of these gold foil legendaries. So the people that have them are keeping them. They're not listing them for sale. They're using them on land. Okay, so dice, very small set. Really not a whole lot to talk about with dice. Prices are pretty much the same. The key card, Mylor, for the rare summoner ticked up a little bit from $3.40 to $4. Really not a whole lot of movement other than that. Your gold foil commons, once again, the floor is right around $1, so $1 to $2.50 for your gold commons. Your rares, you're looking at about $5 for the cheapest gold foil rare, up to around $50. Your epics, once again, gold foil epics hold pretty strong at $20 to $30. And then looking at your gold foil legendaries, you can see the prices here. So 160 up to 840 for a Krallis. Okay, so let's move on to, an Epona. Someone had listed one 2 weeks ago for 8,700 and that one's gone. So once again, they probably just took that off and put it on land. Orb is the next set. So Orb, once again, prices are pretty much the same for all the regular foil cards. Not a whole lot of movement there. Gold foil rares, as you can see, the prices are pretty much the same. Orb is kind of a forgotten set. I don't think people have really done a whole lot with it. The people that do have it and have the gold foils have probably just, put them on land or they're holding them. There's not a whole lot for sale. There's not a whole lot of liquidity. The main thing I think with Orb is just, like I said, the gold foils is what people really want. People that have them have basically held on to them. There's not a whole lot of those for sale. We can check Orb real quick. So let's just look at the regular foil cards. Okay, these are the Orb cards. So you can see the prices here. These two cards, like I said, I really love. The Dwarven Wizard, the Mermaid Healer. The only two epics in the set, and they're both just such good cards. Little League cards, low mana. You've got your triage, you've got your snipe, magic damage. Love both of these cards. So even though it's a very good, very small set, there are some very good cards in the set. Armor Smith's another great card. The Bard with the cleanse for 1 mana. So even though it's kind of a forgotten set, there is some decent card, and of course Corrupted Pegasus. So there are some decent cards in that set. Just a shame it's so small and overlooked. Okay, now everyone's favorite. Let's go to Chaos Legion. So let's start. Actually, we can start with the promo cards. And let's just look at the 2 commons. So not a whole lot of change in price. 9-10 cents for the bear, about 30 cents for Vruz, and then you're paying $2.40 for a gold foil bear, and just under $3 for Vruz. Looking at the legendaries. Just look at the regular foil. So the one thing that I kind of noticed going through this is Dr. Blight had a nice little spike. Dr. Blight had been under $30, so he went from just actually under 27, and he went back up to $34.50. So I think he was really undervalued once you got him below $30. So now he's kind of stabilized back to 35. People know how good Dr. Blight is, and the people that saw it that cheap are like, hey, I'm going to pick up a copy, or finish maxing one out. So that's the reason for this kind of, I want to say, spike in price on Dr. Blight. The other ones pretty much held where they were previously. Assure's around 20, Zerial's 32 to 34. Waka actually fell quite a decent amount, down to 165. Actually, he's back up now to 195. So he's kind of stabilized right around that $200 price. And then Lux is sitting right around 400. Not really a whole lot to talk about with the regular foil cards. Commons, you're looking at still a penny to 15 cents. Kelia is still the most expensive rare, right around 40 cents for a summoner. Your epics, basically 10 cents to 75 cents for some of the higher end ones. And then your legendary cards, Possibilis is still the highest card at just over $12. And of course, if these cards weren't printed as high in quantity as they were, Possibilis would probably be, a $30, $35 card. Gold foils, same thing. Prices are pretty much stable from where they were a couple weeks ago. Commons, still, I think, a fantastic value at under, 30 cents for a gold foil common. To get that 10% bonus and to get your cards leveled up, maxed out, you're probably not going to get any cheaper than when they are right now. I think they're going to, continue to slowly drift up. If we do have a burning event and people mistakenly burn their gold foil cards, for whatever the prices may be, you're going to see these prices go up even more. Your gold foil legendaries. Actually, I was kind of surprised on the gold foil legendaries. I thought the floor was going to be pretty much $50 for a gold foil legendary, regardless of what it is. And there's actually Venator Kinjo is under $40, actually under $38 for a couple of these gold foil legendaries. I think the reason is because they're neutral. So people are saying, well, I'm not going to get that, that 10% bonus. But still to get, a gold foil legendary for under, 45, $50, I think is a pretty good deal. So, and they're both decent cards too, both neutral, both, have very good abilities. So just wanted to point that out. I was kind of surprised that there were some gold foils that had drifted under $40. So we went through that, the gold foil promos. So I talked about the regular foil promos. But if we look at the gold foil promos, you can see the prices here. Lux 2,500, Zerial 209, Dr. Blight. Surprise, Dr. Blight. The regular card is is priced slightly above Zerial, but the gold foil is $35, $37 below Zerial. So I think this might be a little bit undervalued. And then Oshure is in there at $165. Rift Watchers. All right, let's get to Rift Watchers. And let's look at regular foil. And let's look at commons. So a very small set, only 43 cards. So if you look at the commons, you're looking at 3 cents to 25 cents for Ashmirage, which is clearly the one of the best commons with that headwinds. So that's your prices for your common cards, your rares. Queen of Crows is still basically the queen of this set for the rares. She was at just at $1 2 weeks ago. She's ticked up to $1.20. As you can see, these rares are just all of these rares are just so good. So let's go to the epics. So your summoners, Dalin and Aquatis, are still the redheaded stepchilds of the set. Nobody wants them. They're under 75 cents. Ilthane still hanging above 5. So if you can get an Ilthane under $5, grab it, because this seems to be where the market has determined the price is $5 plus. And then your legendaries, Runemancer. For a while I saw him pushing close to $5. He's drifted back down to 3. So I see him settling pretty much in the $3 to $4 range for the not too distant future. But look at a lot of the other cards are just very strong, holding very good values. Coral Lurkers come down a little bit to just under 15. But we've got some very strong legendaries in this set. And then look at the print runs too. Some of the ones that were out first, like Agor and Coral Lurker, you're around 3,200 copies. You're at almost half of that for the last airdrops. So C-Rec, Immolation, and Inevitable are really holding their own, and the fact that these two are the lowest printed and very, very strong cards, I think they're going to hold their value for quite a while. I mean, look at an Inevitable. It's almost twice the price of Immolation, so a lot of very good legendaries and value, even going back to Runemancer, Kai, Ra. These are cards that I use all the time. Kane Haste I use a lot with the Death Splinter. So very good set, even though Rift Watchers is a very small set and over half of the print run was burned. This is a very good, very strong set. Let's look at the gold foil prices. So even though Runemancer Twat was like the cheapest card by far for the legendaries, I'm kind of surprised that his gold foil is above these three. Why isn't he the cheapest gold foil legendary? But it's kind of weird. But look at the price of Immolation. A single copy of Immolation, 2,000. A single copy of Inevitable, 389. So once again, gold foil legendaries, even newer sets, older sets. There are not a lot of these on the market, so pretty much people can ask for whatever price they want. But just to show you the low liquidity, and look at the low numbers. Immolation and Inevitable, 112, in circulation, 128 in circulation. You've got very, very low number of some of these key cards. Okay, so let's go to Rebellion and wrap it up there. Rebellion. Really the only movement to really talk about in Rebellion for the regular foil. Let's look at regular foil. Let's look at Rebellion. And let's look at Legendary. So the one card that moved in the last 2 weeks and kind of took over the top spot is Darg. Arcane had been the star of the set, had been around $25, $30. Now it's settled down to 15. And Darg has shot up to almost 24. So because of that weapons training ability, and the swiftness, this card has really, really spiked and taken over the top spot in Rebellion. So that is one thing to note. If we look at gold foils, love looking at gold foil legendaries. Look at this. Only 6 cards available. So many of these legendaries aren't even on the market in their gold foil version. So let's look at regular foil. So there's 14 gold foil legendaries on the market for the regular foil. There's only 6 of the 14 on the market. And you can see single copies, just 2 copies, just 2 copies. So if you have a gold foil legendary Rebellion card, you can pretty much put it up for $200 or higher. Name your price. Okay, is there any other Yeah, and I kind of highlighted that too with the low liquidity. Another card that I want to talk about a little bit for Rebellion. I think it's one of the strongest cards in the set, even though it's a rare, and I think you guys probably know which one I'm talking about, is, once it loads, can you guess which one I think is the one I'm going to talk about? Yep, Avina the Wolf. Summoner, that heal, being able to give heal to any one unit is key. That is just so key. And that's the reason why this card is, the second highest, right up there with the Rebel, the two most expensive rares in the set. And then looking at the gold foil, you're looking at almost $25 for an Avina the Wolf. So yeah, these two cards are great, fantastic rares. They're getting up there really in price with the gold foil epics. So gold foil epics are also another thing that, the floor price a couple weeks ago was between about 23, 25 bucks. Now they've settled down a little bit. The cheapest one had been, I think, as high as like 35 to 37. Now it's like 31, 32 for the gold foil epics, up to 51 for red worm dragon. So gold foil epics are very, very strong. I just saw a video last night from Jeff Opens Cards where he opened 1,000 packs of Rebellion, and he got a lot of gold foil epics. So I was like, you did very well, Jeff. Even though you didn't pull, too many gold foil legendaries, those gold foil epics really helped the value of his packs. So a lot of value, a lot of strength here in the gold foil epics. Okay, guys, there you have it. I think that will wrap up this edition of the Market Watch. Once again, the highlight probably of this entire set is there's not a lot of movement, of course, in the regular foil cards, even some of the older cards, but there is a lot of strength, a lot of growing price, and a lot of, I guess, just low liquidity on the gold foils, especially the epics and the legendaries of all the sets, going from alpha all the way up to Rebellion. People are really hanging on to them if they have them. They're on land. There's not a lot in the marketplace, so don't expect to see too many good deals on the marketplace as far as gold foil epics and legendaries go. So if you have them, be happy you have a fantastic, great card, and if you need some cash to purchase some other Splinterlands assets, it might be a good time to sell your epics and legendaries because there are not a lot on the market, so that is up to you. But thank you for watching this episode of the Market Watch number 4. The next episode will probably be in about 2 weeks. I like doing these about every 2 weeks to just kind of get a feel of where the pulse of the market is, so stay tuned for that in about 2 weeks. And remember, guys, stay the course, keep on forging, and have fun. We'll see you soon. Take care.